Hi everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Paper pumpkin for June 2017 just arrived, and I don't have it sitting on my counter because I wanted to introduce the new box design. Notice that we now have a new paper pumpkin logo, and also on the side of our box is the name of the stamp or the name of the kit for this month, called One in a Melon. So we're going to open up the kit. I haven't seen it yet. Whoops. As usual, we have the blue tissue paper. Looks like we have two ink colors this month, Melon Mambo and Emerald Envy. And the stamp set is watermelon based. It's got the sweet, hooray, a little something sweet, kindly delivered to, and it's your day. Inside we will find our kit for this month, and as you can see there's 4 treat boxes and 6 cards. So I'll be opening this up. I'm going to get my X-Acto knife here, and let's see what's inside. So for the embellishments, it looks like we have 4 of the little clothespins, and they look like they're in the lemon lime twist color. So cute. Melon Mambo twine. We have some mini stamping dimensionals. And if you've seen the new catalog that just came out, we actually sell these mini dimensionals now. I'm so happy for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 envelopes. These are the card bases. So these cards are a little smaller. They actually measure 3.5 by 5 inches. And then we have these colorful pieces that are going to be the little treat boxes. So these are all scored, so all you have to do is fold and glue them. So we're going to make boxes out of these. Little leaf die cuts, and these are actually stickers, so they're self-adhesive. And then we have these panels here, look like the faux watercoloring. Those are really neat. So we got 2, I think it's, yep, 2 sheets of those. And then this is the tissue paper that's going to go inside the bag, and it's got the watermelon seeds printed on them. Adorable. And lastly, we have some die cuts. Oh, and here's the glue dots. Looks like we have some round tag shape ones, and they have the little hole already in them. And there's 6 of those. And then we have these cute little banners. Sorry about that. My computer tried to shut off in the middle of my sentence. Then we have these cute little banners that have the score lines already on them. These are going to fold like that. Totally adorable. So I'm going to push this all aside, and we're going to make one of the cards and one of the boxes, and then I'll show you some alternative products to make with them also. I'm bringing in my Stampin' Pierce mat so I can stamp on it. And I'm also bringing in my larger Melon Mambo ink pad. And for the card, we're going to need a card base, an envelope, one of the square watercolor backgrounds, one of the white banners, and the Melon Mambo twine. Now remember in my last video, I believe, I showed you that by using a bone folder and just running it across the twine, it takes out all the little dings in it. So now it's nice and straight. So I'm going to go ahead and create a bow. And the way I make my bows is I make them quite large, and then I just put my finger on the knot so that it doesn't twirl on me, and I pull in each side to make it smaller, and then I'll just tighten them up. So it really makes a cute bow. I'm going to bring in my scissors so I can cut off the ends. Okay, so now that's all set to go. So the only stamping we do for the card is the little banner, and it goes this way. You're going to stamp the hooray. And now we just have to assemble the card. So this is pretty quick. I did want to mention, I'm one of the administrators on the Paper Pumpkin Facebook page. A lot of girls are complaining that the pineapples are upside down. Some of them are not, as you can see. And most of them get covered anyway when you put this on there. And this is just an assortment of fruit, so it's meant to be scattered in every direction that there is. I don't have an issue with that, but some people are having issues with it. So let's go ahead and glue this down, and I'm going to center that. And then we bring in the little branch die cuts. We're going to need 2 of those. And they just go right in the corners. Press them down. These are so cute. I kind of wish we had a die just like this. And the other one's going to go in the opposite upper corner. And now for the banner, all we need to do is fold back and then fold front. So you're going to have a mountain fold and a valley fold. See how that looks? And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then we're going to add stamping dimensionals. And I like to add mine close to the fold when I do banners like this, because I want this to not lay flat when I glue it down. So I'm adding 2 close to each fold. And then I'm going to add 2 more in the center. As you know, I'm not one that reads the directions. I'm a visual person. So I'm not sure how many of these I'm allowed to use, but I'm going to use 6 on each banner. Then you're going to glue that on each side of the watercolor panel. And then we're going to use the glue dot to glue down the twine. So I'm just going to add that in the corner and then peel the backing off. And then I'm going to press the little bow that I just made right in the corner. So that's how you make the card. Now, because we have a watermelon theme going on, I probably would also stamp. So let me get my mat back in here. I'm going to add a watermelon image. So now we need the Emerald Envy. And I'm just going to add that to the corner of the card. And I think I want to leave enough room there for addressing the card. So I'm going to go off a bit. So there's that stamp image. And the next one will be the Melon Mambo ink. And what's nice is you can see where you're stamping, so you can actually leave a little bit of white, like you see in a watermelon. And then if you'll notice on the stamp set itself, there is a stamp there that says kindly delivered to. So you could always stamp that at the top here and then write the address of the recipient. So that's it for the card. Let's move everything off and we'll go ahead and create the box. For the box, you're going to need 1 of the tissue papers. I just love the little seeds on that. The box itself, 1 of the banners, the clothespin, the twine, and 1 of the circle tag shapes. So let's do the stamping first. Bring in my mat. And we're going to do the same that we did on the envelope. So I'll bring in the Emerald Envy and stamp that at the bottom of my tag. And with Melon Mambo, we're going to do the same watermelon that we did on the envelope, but you can also do the one that says sweet. You can alternate. Okay. So let's go ahead and assemble the bag. Bring in the bone folder, and all you're going to do is fold everything on the score lines, so that makes it easy. There is a score line in the center here if you want to do the gusseted type bags. I almost forgot the word. Now I'm just going to fold the flaps. This bag is a lot larger than I thought they were going to be just by looking at the picture. Okay, so now this is the big flap is going to go, the two little flaps should go down first, then the larger flap without the adhesive, and then you have this flap that has the adhesive. So just remove that. Make sure it's nice and square, and then press that in place. And I usually use my bone folder on the inside and just run it across to make sure that the glue is pressed down correctly. And then the tag is going to go here. And we're also going to add some twine through the little hole in the tag. And then we're just going to create a bow with the twine. And again, I'm going to make my bow a little on the large side. Put my finger on the knot and pull until you get the size that you want. And then just tighten it up. And this one's a little larger. And then we'll bring in the scissors to cut off the ends. And then all you're going to do is add this to the top. Use the clothespin to fasten it. And then you can always put it at an angle if you want, or leave it nice and straight. It's up to you. And for the tissue paper, what I normally do when I'm stuffing treat bags is I take the middle and I scrunch it up like this. And then I just shove that on the inside. It looks pretty. Now, something that you can do to your tag that I didn't do is add one of the sentiments, a little something sweet or it's your day. So I'm going to go ahead and add the it's a little something sweet. Okay, I want to apologize in advance. I was filming the part where I added the sentiment to the tag and my laptop quit on me. So you don't see me stamping just the sentiment, but you did see me do the rest of the bag. And now I'm going to show you some alternative projects that I created with the kit. This first card is the card that I created as my sneak peek on my blog. What I usually do, I put one sneak peek on my blog each month, and I have a free project sheet that you can download to create this. So if you visit my blog, you should be able to find it. What I did on this one is I used a lemon lime twist card base that measures 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the center at 4 1/4 and folded. Then I opened up one of the gift bags by cutting one of the score lines, and I was able to cut a piece for layer number 2, which measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and then I glued that on. Then I cut a piece of Whisper White cardstock, 2 1/4 by 5.5. I stamped the sentiment down at the bottom first using Emerald Envy ink. Then I used Lemon Lime Twist ink and I stamped 1, 2, 3 rinds, watermelon rinds. I dug out a scrap piece of Whisper White and stamped 3 of the watermelons using the Melon Mambo ink. And I hand cut them so you can see that they are raised on my card. I hand cut them and glued them in place with stamping dimensionals for height. And to finish off, I wrapped the twine around the card twice and tied it into a bow. So this one is pretty simple to create. 2 is another simple one. For this one, I used a Whisper White card base measuring 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2 and folded. I cut a piece of the gift bag again, measuring 1 inch by 5 1/2 and glued it on the edge. This is the gift bag tissue paper, and I cut that to measure 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. And what I did to make this easy is I used a glue stick. Now, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell these anymore, but you can find glue sticks in any of the craft stores. I rubbed that on this side of the gift bag paper, and then I laid this down pretty flat, and then I started in the center and just pushed outwards like this. And as you can see, it's nice and flat on my cardstock. I stamped the tag like I showed you for the gift bag. The only difference is I have the garden green ink and then a melon bombo. And again, I did this on a scrap so that I could mount it with Stamping Dimensionals for height. The sentiment is stamped with basic black ink. And then once I glued it in place with Stamping Dimensionals, I added 2 of the branches tucked under. So you got one there and one there. So that's card number 2. Card number 3, I have quite a few layers. This one is Emerald Envy cardstock, cut at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2 and folded. I'm going to use the paper piercer to point here. Lemon Lime Twist is layer number 2. And that measures 5 1/4 by 4, and I glued that in place. Layer number 3 is a piece of Whisper White cardstock measuring 5 by 3 3/4. I glued the tissue paper on top of the Whisper White and then glued that to my card base. Layer number 4 is Emerald Envy ink. That one measures 2 1/2 by 3 3/4, and I glued that one on with Stamping Dimensionals. You can see the height there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Layer number 5 is Whisper White, measuring 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. I stamped the sentiment with basic black ink, and that's about 3/4 of an inch down. I added a branch sticker right below the sentiment. And then I stamped the watermelon with Lemon Lime Twist and Melon Mambo, hand cut, glued in place with Stamping Dimensionals, and then I added a bow made with the new Lemon Lime Twist ombre ribbon. Now, one tip that I forgot to mention about the tissue paper, the reason I glued this over white is because if you glue it over anything dark, it's going to have a dark tint to it. So by adding the white underneath, you get that bright melon mambo look to it. Card number 4 is a Melon Mambo cardstock base, measuring 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2 and folded. Layer number 2 is Lemon Lime Twist, which measures 3 1/2 by 5 1/2, and glue that about 1/2 inch from the top. Layer number 3 is Whisper White, 3 inches by 5 1/2. And what I did on this one is I stamped the sentiment first with basic black ink, and then I stamped 2 watermelons on each side using Lemon Lime Twist and Melon Mambo ink. I stamped a 3rd watermelon on scrap, hand cut, and then glued in place with Stamping Dimensionals. And to finish off the card, I added the twine wrapped around twice and tied into a bow. Card number 5 starts out with a Lemon Lime Twist card base, again at 4 1/4 by 11. As you can tell, that's my favorite card size. Scored at 5 1/2 and folded. Layer number 2 is Whisper White, measuring 5 1/4 by 4. Layer 3 is the gift bag tissue paper, measuring 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and again use the glue stick to glue that on the white. And then I used the new pocket framelits dies to cut out a pocket from the gift bag. I glued that in place with stamping dimensionals for height. I added the banner on top of that, stamped with basic black ink, tucked in one of the branches, and added a clothespin. The little clothespins are really cute. And then to finish off, I stamped 2 watermelons. And I'm going to show you how I achieved this look here. That's called the rock and roll technique. So I'm going to bring in a piece of Whisper White cardstock. What I do first is ink my, this would be the watermelon rind with the lime twist. And rock and roll is actually what you're going to do is rock the edge of the stamp. So I don't know if you'll be able to see, I'm just rocking. That's where the rock and roll title comes from. Just the very edge. See where you can see the darker green around the edge there? And when you stamp that, it's going to give you the two-tone effect. So that's how I did that card, by using the rock and roll technique. And I have one more card to show you that uses that technique also. And if you'll bear with me a little bit longer, I have only 2 more projects to show you. This one is made with the mini treat bag Thinlits dies. It's actually 2 pieces. I made the little treat bag and this slide out portion. The treat bag Thinlits dies can be found on page 212 right here, and you get all of these parts to it. And then if you'll notice at the very top of the pull-out section, I used a brand new punch, and that is called the Circle Tab Punch. It punches in this shape, and then you just fold in half to create the tab. And what I did is I used a stapler to staple it in place. So let me give you the measurements on this card. It's very simple, just Whisper White cardstock, which measures 3.5 by 4.5. And I stamped a flat watermelon using the rock and roll technique and stapled the circle tab at the top. The gift bag is cut using the dies and glued and assembled. And I just added the tag and the sentiment layer, again using the rock and roll technique, the clothespin and the twine. And then I tucked one branch under the circle tag. And I wrapped the twine around there twice and tied into a bow. And then you can just write whatever you want here. You could even add another sentiment if you wanted to. And then just tuck that inside. And for my last project, it's a 2-piece project. I made a coordinating card and gift bag. I just changed the gift bag front, making it match with the card by cutting one of the card bases in half. So the first layer on the front of the gift bag is Whisper White, which measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. Glue that flat. The card base, which as you can see is the exact same size. So just cut that on the score line, glue this in place with stamping dimensionals for height. I added one of the yellow tags, glued 2 branches on the corner of the tag. And then for this, let me show you how I got this look. I'm just going to use the reverse side of this. Bring in the Melon Mambo ink, ink up the hooray. You're going to start at the bottom, and without re-inking, you're going to do that 3 times. And you can see how it goes from dark to light, the ombre effect as you do that. Pretty neat. So once you get that all stamped, you can just add the clothespin and the twine at the top, and then your tissue paper. So that finishes off the bag. For the card, I used one of the pre-printed yellow layers. I added another Whisper White layer behind, which measures 2 7/8 by 3 1/4, and that's glued in place with stamping dimensionals. I added 2 branches over the twine, which was wrapped around 3 times. And then my sentiment layer was, the banner was glued in place. And then I just took a strip of the gift bag tissue paper, and I kind of scrunched it and just stuffed it in there and glued it in place just to match the paper that's sticking out of the bag. So that's it for my projects. As you know, if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber of mine, I do send you detailed instructions on how to create all of these cards. I'll send that in your monthly newsletter. And I also belong to the Paper Pumpkin Gurus team, where we'll have 10 to 14 more projects to send our subscribers. So if you're interested in learning how to create additional projects and exclusive projects from the Paper Pumpkin Gurus team, subscribe for Paper Pumpkin by the 10th of the month, and you'll be added to my newsletter list. Thanks for stopping by today.